guys, how are you all doing? So back for another review. Haven't done one of these in a while, hopefully I can still remember how. So when I bought this a little while ago, some of my friends were very confused. They were like, Elliot, I thought you hated Glocks, man, you've given in. That's right, I did give in. I'm going to blame Dave's Custom Airsoft. Too many times playing with these in a particular showroom and I'm like, It got rid of the main thing I hated about Glocks. We'll get on to what that is, but now, absolutely love it. So, that being said, this is a Umarex VFC OEM'd Glock 17 Gen 5. I always swore I was going to be one of those guys that always hates Glocks, and I didn't always have a particular reason why. I just thought, they're very simplistic. I'm kind of old school. I like guns with hammers, not striker-fired guns. I like guns with decockers and things like that, so I thought, nah, Glock's never going to be for me, but actually this one was finally the gen that changed my mind. So we'll get into this now and I'll tell you exactly why. So a closer look then at the Umarex Glock 17 Generation 5. Now this is OEM'd by VFC. That might be an immediate issue for some people because VFC does get a lot of trash talking about it. This mainly comes from their gas blowback rifles. In my experience, this is the only VFC pistol I've owned, but it's been nothing but grand. Actually, I've never had a single problem with it, or a malfunction, or anything. The only minor issue I've ever had is if you put one too many BBs in the magazine, it won't seat if the slide is closed. That's normal for some other guns too. So simply removing one BB or locking the slide open before you insert it is going to fix that issue. So you get one Glock 17 Gen 5, one Glock 17 magazine. Now these will take obviously all the same mags, Gen 4, Gen 5, it doesn't make any difference. The only place it differs is when you start getting into the 19X and things like that, which have different base plates. So the magazines for these cost about 40 odd bob each. I paid 43 quid for these from Dave's Custom Airsoft. Now some people might get irked by the price of the magazines, being that they're in sort of the 40 to 50 pound bracket rather than the 20 to 30 that we're used to for a magazine of this type. I'm not sure exactly why that is. I don't know if it has anything to do with the official sort of Glock logos and branding. However, the gas efficiency on these I've found to be excellent, especially in the summer. You can get several mags out of these. We tried these actually at the DCA range a little while ago, so we have one that was fully gassed up with Nuprol 3.0, so their version of red gas, and firing about 1 round a second. This was in sort of average room temperature. Managed to get just over 4 magazines out of it before it was too weak to cycle anymore. When it gets cold, I've found that obviously it's going to struggle a little bit more, same as any gas blowback pistol using green gas mags. So if you don't want to go to CO2, then you're going to need black gas in the really cold temperatures for this to cycle, but I've found the mags to be excellent. So in terms of its function, it is just your standard gas blowback pistol. For those that aren't familiar, it comes with obviously this one magazine. Now these particular magazines obviously have a follower for the BBs, which is where they're inserted, but if you pull this bottom one down towards the top of the magazine, it removes this little part on the base plate, so you can expose. You don't have to remove it fully either, just partially expose the inlet just there, and then you'll gas that what you can, of course, and when you're done, close it back up. You can hear when these are full as well, because they'll stop, you'll hear the sound stop filling. So what's different about the Gen 5? A lack of finger grooves, and you've got some nice sort of stippling style grips going on here. The Gen 5 has also got a beveled frame and slide, particularly the slide up the front. It's a little bit less square looking than the Gen 4, and other than that we're looking at an ambidextrous slide release, and in terms of the airsoft version, those are pretty much all the main differences. You got your nice big chunky mag release as well, which is much larger than the earlier Gen Glocks. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, why did this get my attention when I've never liked Gen 4s? Well, the finger grooves. The finger grooves on Glocks have just never fit me well, and I've never really liked finger grooves on anything. So something that's really interesting about the VFC one that I really like was the hop-up adjustment. It's absolutely wonderful on this gun. So to set your hop up, you need an Allen key. Now, Allen keys normally make people go, oh god, I've got to disassemble stuff and put it back together. Well actually, there's something extraordinarily good about this. that is your hopper. It's in the spring guide, so you just stick an Allen key in there. Obviously, you know, remove the magazine if you actually want to be safe. If you're doing this whilst firing the thing, or just keep your finger away from the trigger at least. And there you are. You can adjust it like that. I found the hop to be effective. In terms of upgrades, I've changed this to a Crazy Jet 6.02 inner barrel, which is a dual bore barrel. That's by Maple Leaf. And I've added a PDI W-hold 70-degree bucking. A 60 would probably be better for a pistol at pistol velocities. However, I found the 70 to be absolutely fantastic. So, this one. This one. Oh, last round, but it was a hit. So the furthest target I engaged there was around 60 meters. I think that just shows how good these guns can perform, and I didn't get a single miss. That was using 0.32 gram BBs by Valkyrie, and it shot extremely well. Obviously it's not the highest velocity when it reaches the target, but you can make hits count at that range. I've got a couple of kills at a pretty good distance with this thing, just using single shots. So the Gen 5 has these style of sights. They're quite similar to the SIG. It doesn't have the little sort of half square white that some of the other Glocks do, but you know, they do the job. You can see your sight picture there. I'm trying to work around the tripod, but yeah, so they pick up very well. These are removable quite easily. The slide catch, as I mentioned, or the slide lock, whatever you want to call it, it's ambidextrous, so you can release it from either side. It will, of course, lock back on the last shot, like so, and then you can reload, use the slide catch, or you can power stroke it. Now you've got the serrations on here. The Glock 45 actually adds even more up here in some of the higher gens. Being that this doesn't have a hammer, well, I mean, it's a striker-fired gun in reality. It actually does have a slight hammer inside on the airsoft model, but you don't have a safety either as a result, or a decocker. So the way it essentially works is it's now currently uncocked. The trigger will pop forward when it's cycled, just like the real steel. You can't pull the trigger unless you've actually got your finger on it properly, because you have this extra safety inside. It's a bit like the beaver safety thing on the 1911, but they put it on the trigger, so you actually have to sort of be intentionally pulling it. So in terms of the trigger, you have about this much take up, and then it's pretty crisp. Cycles back to that point. In terms of the disassembly, Glocks are very easy. You've got these two little latches on the side. If you just pull both of those down simultaneously, hold the slide back just slightly, and then shove it forward, and it comes off. So there's your frame with all your trigger mechanism and trigger housing, etc. Just lay that down. And then the spring guide on this will only release if the hopper's in the middle position, so you might have to turn it and find that sweet spot. But once it's out, it's out. Some of these do have the little spring guide insert thing. Not sure what you call this exactly, but just remove that as well. And then your barrel, just like the real one really, is free to pop forward and drop out, as it's a drop locking barrel. Removing the nozzle is super easy on this gun. You simply remove this screw, this back piece comes off, and the whole thing, spring attached, comes off. It's incredibly easy to take apart. In fact, it's probably the best nozzle design I've actually seen in terms of how easy it is to take that apart and clean it. It just requires no real effort to actually get it in and out quickly. You're not having to contend with any springs because it's essentially all captive. You can remove, obviously, the nozzle return spring. It just sort of sits on this tiny little ridge inside, but the way they've designed it all to just come out easily is excellent. Also recommend polishing the guide rails, because it speeds the action up ever so slightly. You're just going to rack it back on like that, check it all works as it should, but that's essentially how all of that operates. So back in your magazine goes, and there you are, job done. So gas I recommend for this. It's not gas fussy. I've used Nuprol 2.0, 3.0, Ultra Air. I'm generally using 3.0, the red can. I'd use it in quite a bit of CQB, and the nice thing about this, of course, it comes with your rail so you can attach a flashlight of your choice. Mine happens to be an Olight Valkyrie. Now, because I enjoy CQB, especially when I was up in Farnham, this happened. However, not to worry, still works. The Valkyrie is an absolutely wonderful flashlight. If you are looking for a nice pistol light, it will go on your rifle too. It's a 20mm fitting. Comes with the strobe as well. I've really appreciated these a lot more since actually using them in a force-on-force situation, because the fact that Glocks are just so simple, and the Gem 5 for me sits really well in the hand. It's just a very, you know, utilitarian, simple design, and it just does the job, and I think that's probably why they're so popular. It's just simple, functional. The mags are very gas efficient. It's customizable. You can upgrade it internally with barrels, hot rubbers, steel parts. You can change the sights if you want. It'll take flashlights. There's a variety of holsters available for it. As far as I know, it'll fit in any kind of standard holster made for a Glock, because the scale is all pretty much the same. The only other thing I forgot to mention actually about the Gem 5 is it's got these cuts on a now flared magwell as well, which assists in your reloads. If you do have to strip a magazine out because dirt has got on it or in the magwell, you can physically now sort of pull the magazine without having to sort of stick a nail in somewhere and sort of yank it out. So they've just made that much easier. My experience with it so far has been nothing but good, and it just shoots very, very well. I'm really happy with it, and I don't regret finally buying a Glock at all. Cons. The price might be a con for some. Generally speaking, they're going for about 160 or 165, somewhere around there. Although you do get the full trades. You get a pistol that performs very well out of the box without any mods. Just give it a clean and a grease as you would. Take care of your magazines, guys. You know, use storage gas, use silicone, do all the normal stuff you should. But yeah, it's a very functional gun, and there's not much else to say about it really. I mean, it's a Glock. What you see is what you get. Something I'll always recommend, and this gun is no exception, get yourself a nice holster. So that's a real steel one, a light bearing holster. You don't have to go real steel, of course, but it's nice. And then get yourself some good mag pouches where you can actually make efficient use of your magazines. So these are, for example, a Scorpion G codes, open top tension pouches. They're like the taco style, so they don't have any bungee cords or anything like that. Something I've found is that you're actually going to use your pistol a lot more, and therefore get your money's worth, if you can actually draw it, holster it, remove magazines, re-index magazines much more easily. This is where I also find the base plates, or the lack of the large base plate, is not a problem, because I don't find it hard to do anything with these standard sort of size ones. As long as you practice a little bit, guys, you know, it'll make a lot of difference having a good belt kit. So that's something I'll always mention in every video. If you're going to invest money in a pistol like this, get yourself some nice belt kit where you can actually make the most efficient use of both the magazines and the pistol itself. Another nice bonus of the Gem 5 is where you do have that nice big flared magwell just out of the box. If you're one of these airsoft IPSC guys that likes to throw your 40-pound mags all over the floor, then it makes that very easy. So that concludes the review of this guy. I didn't think I'd ever be reviewing a Glock, but there we go, we've gone ahead and done it. And yeah, really great gun, I'm enjoying it a lot. Only real downside, as I say, is the price might be a little bit of a downside for some, especially the magazines, but you are paying for a very, very good pistol. The hop-up is sensational, as we saw, especially when you upgrade it, and the access point is excellent. It's just a simple handgun that does the job. So, that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Please feel free to rate, comment and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Take care.